That's us. Welcome to Warrington.
Welcome to Warrington.
Now Brendon Hyde in the house.
Let's do it.
Welcome to another Liquid Bullet production. With us today is Mr. Brendon Hyde.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming.
Pleasure.
So convicted for robberies, muggings, spent time in prison.
Yeah.
He was a victim of a miscarriage of justice in a rape case,
Yeah.
which you got 8 years for, correct?
8 year, 3 month, yeah.
And you're now the author of books, 5 books written, The Ink Run,
Yeah, the ink on my first book.
The Whiskey Pool,
Yeah.
The Gods Are Watching, Stitched and Easy Target.
Easy Target's what I'm working on now.
Right, okay. So can we just start all the way back to the beginning, where it all started for you?
Yeah. What, back to
Where
the rob?
where you was born, where you grew
I was
up?
born not far from here, Salford. All my dad's side of family, Manchester. My mum's Yorkshire, York, that way on. My mum won't move to Manchester, so my dad moved that way.
Yeah.
So I brought up mainly West Yorkshire, but always sort of coming back about Manchester on his weekends, see my nans, my dad's mum and all that. Went to school, Wakefield, messed my school up, went a bit off the rails.
Most of us do.
Yeah, quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? My dad had, my dad's not to blame, but my dad had left, he used to work at ICI, the Huddersfield sort of plant, and then one of his mates went to Libya, and they were so he went out working in the Middle East. They were only going for 6 months. 33 years later, it just finished. Blimey. So I they were just me and my mum and my sister at home. So not that that's why I went off rails, but obviously
Didn't have
my dad there to give me a good crack when I needed it.
Yeah.
Kind of went off the rails. Messed all my school up. Didn't pass anything at school. Nothing like that. Always had them sort of reports where they're saying, talent's there, just don't bother trying.
Not
just
paying attention.
Just couldn't be arsed with it all. We're just too busy messing about. Went from there onto the street sort of stuff, messing about. Ended up robbing people, Leeds.
What sort of age did that sort of start?
I'd say sort of 16, 17, around that area. Do you know what I mean? I got caught, pinched in Leeds, up in Devon, machete to somebody's throat in Devon. That totally didn't, oblivious to it all, what I was doing. I was that sort of mixed up in drugs and drinking. I was just sort of robbing somebody, then going to Chapeltown, getting drugs, then doing that.
Sort of robbing to pay for it.
Robbing to pay for it, and then sometimes just robbing to go on holiday, and I would just run. There were no no formula to what I was doing. I was just doing what the hell I wanted, and eventually got caught in Leeds, got chased up the street, machete, tried to throw it in a letterbox, it bounced out. Copper off-duty detective on shopping, scooped it up in a newspaper, kind of saw him and thought, shit, he's getting the evidence.
Bloody hell.
just run out of energy. I'd just been on the drugs, so got caught. Millgar police station, 3 weeks laid down, then remanded. Then I got 2 years. I got 6 years.
So what did you actually serve?
I just did 2. They just did the 2, but I were up to no good in prison for the first 6 months. Back then, you were like losing time if you if you're messing about. So yeah.
What sort of things do you mean when you say you're up to
I've got all sorts of old chat. Like caught on another wing with half a pair of scissors. What I'd have stuck in you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Phone cards that weren't in your name.
Yeah.
Suspicion of dealing drugs in prison. Things like that. So I was still didn't really, took me about 6 months before I had a couple of screws, say, you're better than this, it's time to sort of
really in a bit and
grow up, you know what I mean? And which you don't want to hear, you take that as even then if somebody said, at 17, 18, grow up, you're like, the fuck it.
Well, you think you know best at that
Well, you do at that. I mean, it's only 30 years later you realise what a dickhead you were, do you know what I mean? But then nobody could tell you. A lot of people are the same, aren't they? I see kids now and I think, what a wally, man, do you know what I mean? But I'm trying to get through to them. Just kind of up and down in the jail, in the block all the time, fighting, carrying on. And then it was an Irish screw called Mr. Derry. Probably one of the biggest block screws, who sort of pulled me at one side and started giving me books and pads and pens and saying he'd seen some creative stuff in me, so encouraged me. Went to night classes in the prison, did bits of stuff. Tried doing law A level. Come out and then I tried to get in the Navy, but because I'd got robberies, they wouldn't have me. My granddad had served in Navy, so I was kind of the last 6 months. I was right, as soon as I get out, I'm going to join the Navy and whatever. That's always been a big regret. I think I'd have, looking back how I am, I think I'd have been all right in
that would have been your path to choose.
I think I'd have been pretty good in the Navy, given the chance. But like I said, that was the first. When you try to talk to kids now and say, look, if you get a record, it'll screw you up. But, that was the first time I did something for shit. I've done the time, but now this is my records following me, and I can't get into something what I want to. So I kind of floated a bit. Went back to college. Thought right, I've messed all my school up, so I was determined to sort of redo all my GCSEs, get to college, get to uni. I think just not for myself, but I think just to prove to my family that I was smart enough to get into uni and all that sort of stuff. Just enrolled into college, and then just one night a lad I didn't even knock about with, like a Sunday night, he was coming down the street. I was living with my uncle at the time. And he was like, do you want to go out for a few pints? I wasn't really that bothered. I kind of went, I'm not bothered. I'd been out the Saturday. I was like, I'm not arsed, mate. Talked me into it in a way. Went out. This is what I wrote. Finally got to the Stitch book I wrote years later, 25 years later. Went out, slept with this, bumped into this lass, ended up going back to the house. Kind of not a threesome like what you'd see on a film, but it was we both sort of both went there.
Was involved,
a couple of days later, I think about a week later, door come flying through, dragged out of bed, didn't know what was going on. Coppers, just angry police, get out of bed, you dirty rapist, fucker. Didn't know what, I was I didn't even know what last, because I had I'd sort of cheat, I had a girlfriend at the time, so I was thinking, what's going on? Got back to the police station and realised how serious it was, do you know what I mean? They had all, they were coming in with all these statements, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? They didn't tell me that this other kid had been arrested either, so I was just sort of I'm not saying at a minute, I don't know I didn't know whether it would have to do with that or not. Once they said what lass it was, I knew he was in police station as well. Give a full statement. We both give a matching statement. They even sort of said because the statements matched, that we'd concocted as alibis, and so even at that point at the start, it was trying to tell the truth. When you're sat in front of somebody, you're telling the truth, and they're just whatever, mate.
Don't want to know,
whatever. They didn't want to know. I think because I'd sort of been the robbery, the robbery sort of stuff later, I kind of thought they think I've been involved with a lot more, or I've not done enough time, and so you weren't exactly flavour of the month in the police station. They knew I'd just come out from. I've not been out that long.
It's already judging you on your
I mean, even like I said, zoom forward, even in the court, they sort of said that rape's a dominant crime. So because I'd been mugged people, it was part of my personality to dominate you. So that like because you know, so just because I've mugged somebody, I'm capable. I'm going to rape somebody. It's like you know, every little sort of thing that they tried, you just thought nothing made sense to me.
Yeah.
But you know, I've gone off track there.
So what was the outcome of this?
So
you'd been arrested for the
we got
rape?
just remanded straight away. The sort of like the magistrates again. I think the magistrates just like panicked. Do you know what I mean? As soon as you got, you know, it's only little magistrates in Wakefield. You go in, what's the charge? Rape. Oof, remanded.
Crown Court. Did you go?
So the next, well, we were remanded first. Do you know what I mean? And then like when you had the next bail hearing turned down, then you had the judge in chambers turned down, so then you were like stuck on remand. So then I was stuck on remand in Doncaster for 13 months. So just waiting it out. Only glimmer of hope I had in all of that time where I got the actual call her a victim or whatever she makes out she's a victim. Her dad on the phone saying that she was like a compulsive liar. He put a statement in for us saying she was a liar.
Oh really?
Dad? So I had him on the phone, so I'm thinking, oh that's good. His statement eventually again zoomed forward to the Crown Court before they put all the stuff in what's going to be used in the court. The ruled that irrelevant to the case, so that wasn't allowed to. I was like, why would a statement, a statement off the lass who's saying we've done something like that, an actual dad saying she's a compulsive liar, and she's done this.
That must carry a bit of weight though, like your own family to go against your daughter.
Yeah,
there's obviously something there, isn't
but
there?
why would the judge rule it irrelevant to the case? So
that's what happened, yeah.
So that wasn't even allowed in the trial. So that was like that was the only sort of thing on the remand where I thought, well, no, that's good. You know, you're grasping at straws. You know, you just sat there.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't easy in prison. But because we'd both, the other lad who were co-accused with, he'd just come out of prison, he'd glassed somebody in the face, he'd been up in Durham. We were only like young then, 16 or something, he'd just done that. So, tough in jail, do you know what I mean? It was an art, you know, but like I said, we were known in prison from his previous stuff, so that luckily, it's the only time you think, I'm glad I've been in jail.
Yeah,
you know,
sort of know the ropes.
Yeah, we knew the ropes and we knew some of the people in there, like people were bumping at me and like, oh, I can't believe you're back in for robberies. And I'm like, it's not robberies, mate, it's like rape. And they're like, fuck off, mate. There's no way.
How did that treat you in there? Because obviously, sometimes in prison, like rape charges and that, the people find it, you know, the other inmates are...
It's the stigma. It's the stigma of it. Like you say, you've got to end up. You end up you know, I got to the point where I'd just be like, somebody like, I'd say, "What you in for?" I'd just be like, "Rape," and they'd be like, "You joke?" I'd be like, "No, I'm not joking, mate. Why?" You know what I mean? It was like I got like quite aggressive, like over it. Do you know what I mean? I was like ready to just take your head off because I got sick of explaining it to some people. I'd give them the depositions, let them read through everything. Everybody that we give the stuff to were like, "This is just nonsense." Like I said, once you read I put all the trial transcripts, I put all the Court of Appeal stuff in there when I got acquitted. Once you read it, you think a monkey could have got...
So can I just jump in it? So what evidence was there on that case? Was it just that girl's
just her say? Yeah, just her say so. She'd.
So there was no DNA found?
No. Well, we admitted we'd slept with her, so there were like, in that sense, if there were DNA in that sense, we said there were all sorts of things, like just things, everything, like when we left, we give her a mobile phone number to ring us. You know, we're like, oh, we've raped you. You know, give us a call. We'll come and do it again. We bumped into a policeman on the way home at about 3 o'clock in the morning. This like beat Bobby. Saw us because he knew us like up to no good from the past. He were like, what are you two doing out and about? We were like, sat down. This kid rolling a cig. We were like, oh, you wouldn't believe us if we told you. Like, go on, try me. We were like, well, we just had a free in a bed with this lass down. I won't say where she's from because I'm not allowed to put stuff like that in this book. I've had to call her Miss Illegally Anonymous. That's what I've used instead of using her name. So we even had a copy of it. Fair enough to him. He was called PC Ward. He actually did come to court, read from his notebook, said, well, when I saw him, I saw him. Yeah, he was the only one that like actually did something. You know what I thought, fair enough, because I think he had a lot of pressure to not go. So
that on its own would tell you, like, if you'd actually physically raped someone, you wouldn't be going to tell a copper.
Well, we told him exactly where we'd been and what we'd just done. So, like I said, if you've just left a scene of a crime,
so what sort of weight did that carry for you in the court case?
Nothing.
No?
The judge, who called Judge Hutchinson, he's dead now, and I'm glad. You know what I mean? But he would just like, if there were anything that was very positive towards it, he'd just like zoom quickly past it, and just when she took the stand, as soon as she got into. You know, there were all sorts of things where she'd said she'd she'd not dare go out for a few days, and then she called a witness, a best friend, to confirm that, and she took the stand, mate, and actually totally contradicted her and said, "Oh, we've been uptown the night after, 3 o'clock in the morning, sat in the street eating pizza."
So it made her look like a liar.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? All stuff like that. She'd give a statement to this woman from the council, and she'd said all sorts. She said we'd used gas in her face. Why there were no ripped clothes, because we'd told her we were going to gas her, so she took stuff off. There were no mention of this to the first woman she told it to, even though this was the main thing in the court all the way through it. Like, that's what we'd sort of used to, control her. Basically, no gas found. Didn't have any gas. Police, like I said, arrested us without warning. No gas found at my house. No gas found at his house. Didn't have any gas. Want no gas there. Judge in the trial actually got some photographs, and they were like a deodorant can, like a Karl Lagerfeld deodorant, and he said like maybe she'd got mixed up and thought it was that. Whether you'd think like somebody, why you'd pick up a can of deodorant and say, right,
totally different size,
I'm going to rate, it's all a bit stupid, man. Like I said, it is the amount of shit it's caused me, and when I look back on like the ridiculousness of some of the stuff, I just think, like I said, it is a proper miscarriage of justice case. It's not just like one of them, well, did you, didn't you? There's that many things in it. It's just ridiculous.
So how long was you in there before? The 13 months or so?
13 months on remand. Yeah, which were bad enough. So when we got to the Crown Court, I thought, right, we're going home, definitely. There's no evidence. All the evidence, like stuff pointing towards, like I said, she'd said this, her witnesses contradicting her. We were good, strong on the stand, said what we'd said, exactly matched in the statements. But again, they were like saying that were convenient.
Can I just ask what sort of your lawyers, what was their thoughts on it before you went into that case?
Well, if you just...
Were they thinking that you was going to walk out of there? Or?
Yeah, I'll just quickly show, because so my QC at the time is now a Crown Court judge, so he's called Rodney Jameson. So he gave me a quote for this. He's put, "In all my career in law, I've only ever come across 2 miscarriages of justice cases. This is one of them. High Court Judge Rodney, Mellor, Maples, Jameson." And then I've got another quote from Lord Staughton, who was highest judge in England at the time. That's where I got acquitted at the Royal Courts. And he put, viewing the case as a whole, there were many factors which cast serious doubt on the truth of Miss Legally Anonymous's account. So, like I said, once we got the appeal and got to London, it didn't. I think we had to be there 5 days. I think after the 3rd or 4th day, they were like, right, you're free to go.
Can I just ask how was your mental state when, obviously, if you're innocent and you're being told you're going down for something you haven't done? How did that make you feel? Well,
when the jury come back, like I said, I didn't expect anything but them to go not guilty and go. And I thought, it's been bad enough, but I was ready to just think, God, go on holiday. My dad was in the Middle East saying that we're going to go out to Dubai. I'd been to Abu Dhabi before and stopped with my dad. So that was my plan. So when the jury come back and they went guilty, mine was the first name, went, "Dale, Brendon Hyde, we find you guilty of rape." I was like, fucking hell. So my co-accused at that point, it just went into chaos in the court. He jumped over the where we were. They didn't have, all the barriers they have now. That's because of us. They put them barriers up from what we did. That's when, not to be proud of it, that's why you're behind barriers now, because of what we did at Leeds Crown Court. So my co-accused...
Can we just ask, what did you do?
So my co-accused jumped across all the, like where you got all the barristers' benches, judges. So he went all the way across, got the carafe of water off the judge's bench, smashed that. The judge ended up like coming off his chair. The judge went underneath his chair. You got all the armless screws running this way, group 4 screws. I jumped over and went to try to escape. We just got twisted up. I got like my wrist broke, got my head smashed in. So we ended up, you kind of come round in the cells down below thinking, the abandoned sentencing, so we didn't get sentenced that day, we just found guilty. Then I went back to Armley, and then I was put on the escape pit, so I put in the stripes, the yellow and blue bananas, or whatever they call them. We're on that for 4 months, so you're just behind your door, your clothes are took off, you go everywhere with the dogs. So on top of the stress of like, shit, I've just been found guilty of rape and I ain't done it, I'm like now on the Cat A E-man list. So I was on that for 4 months, and then as soon as they got me off that, then they shipped me out to Walton at Liverpool. So then I was like, shit.
How did you deal with that mentally though? Was that sort of, it must be hard to take?
It was really hard. I think, like I said, I think I must have had a God knows how many breakdowns, but you don't realise what's happening at the time.
Your emotions must have been like a roller coaster.
Like I said, just little things you're clinging on to, little hopes. And then it's got dashed, and then, like I said, I was expecting to go home. So that first night back in Armley, getting brought, like I said, we were brought back, like I was brought back in like a in a car with 2 screws and a screw, and all the police, like, you know, when you see these films with the police flashing lights behind you and the motorcycles, I were like took back like that, thinking, Jesus, you know, there's enough attention, all the attention, you know, when you want to sort of sneak into Armley and just quietly go to your cell, it were all like, it were like, who's this guy? Oh, it's that guy who's just been done for rape. It was like, fucking hell. So yeah, it was difficult, mate, you know what I mean? But like I said, we could look after ourselves, luckily. God knows what it'd have been like for somebody that were a first timer. I can understand how people kill themselves in prison.
Got hurt,
Definitely. You know what I mean?
So how long did you actually serve, and how did this case get turned over?
So I ended up getting the appeal. I was up in Liverpool for I can't remember, over a year up in Liverpool. Then I got the appeal through. The Crown Court judge appeal got knocked back first. So that goes back to the first judge. So this Hutchinson got it, and he must have thought, oh, that's them. They've just attacked me in my crop. When we went back for sentencing, like I said, we were on the escapee list. So when we went back, he relished it. He talked to us for about an hour about what animals we were, how we'd acted in this court, just showed reckless regard for law, and how we were as people, and that we were, you know, showed that we were these rapists, horrible, you know. 'Cause she'd said like we'd brutally raped her for hours and beat her up, and you know, she'd said like I said, all the stuff's in there. She'd said I'd kicked her, punched her, strangled her.
No marks on her.
No marks on her, nothing. She was not even examined by anybody that we put forward. This is examined by a police surgeon who was looking to try to give her some, credibility to what she's saying. So
you know yourself, a size of a man hitting a lady, you're going to have some sort of markings. Or
all this, like
you're going to have some.
The list of things in there. I put her in a chokehold. I kicked her in the back, punched her, slapped her.
Not one bruise on her body.
No, nothing on her at all. Nothing at all. So even stuff like that, you'd think, well, that don't make no sense. Yeah. She's saying she stayed in her home, didn't dare come out. Then she's got her own mate coming and saying, oh no, day after it happened, apparently we were out all night, nightclubbing. You know, you've just been. I can't say a lass who's been raped by 2 guys brutally and beaten, going out, slapping the makeup on the night after, going out to a nightclub and then eating pizza at 3 in the morning. You know, like I said, just as soon as you cross-examined her, and it would obvious, you know, didn't need to trap her, but it was just like she just trapped herself into what she was saying. She burst into tears. Judge was like, "Do you want a tissue?" Adjourn it for like fucking hell. I was sort of at the back coming up from the cells, like I couldn't even, you know, said, "Can I get a glass of water?" The staff had, you know, as if to say, "Rapist," you know, like gave fucking just the atmosphere made you feel like you'd done something wrong.
Feel bad
because of the work. This is the trouble I've had ever since. You know what I mean? The stigma. This is why I decided to write Stitched. Get out there. It's uncomfortable to speak about it. Even now, do you know what I mean? I still feel awkward about it.
You want to get your side of the story over because they've only heard the one side.
That's it. It's just for other people as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure there'll be some guy now sat in a cell thinking, I ain't raped this lass. Do you know what I mean? And I'm innocent. And he's getting loads of shit in prison, and his life's upside down. And he doesn't even know when he gets out, he don't even know what's to come. Yeah. Like I said, I've had more problems outside. We're just idiots using it against you. People know you, then so they fall out with you. Then it's like, oh, you're a fucking rapist.
So how long did you actually serve in there?
27 months until.
27 months.
Yeah. So they sent me from Liverpool. I got the sheet through. I just had a thing through saying you're off to Wakefield. Yeah. So I was like, because I'm from Wakefield, I'm thinking, Jesus, I know that prison. Yeah. It's full of, you know, you don't want to be going in there, monster mansion. I just got that sheet under my door coming back from like work in Liverpool prison. As soon as there's a cell available, you're on the next transfer out to Wakefield. Thinking, Christ. At that point, then the appeal come through. So then they had me in the office, the SOPO. Again, another thing that you wouldn't have done it at this point. I was 27 months into. I had 8 years and 3 months. Like I said, I got the 3 months for the kicking off at the court, 8 years for the rape. Got the thing through that they said your appeals come through. We're sending you to Brixton. So I'm thinking, fucking hell, you know, all these prisons. With that sort of charge, you're thinking, all right, now I'm off to Brixton. You know, I'm not from London. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, I'm off to Brixton now. Do you know what I mean? I've already been up in Scousland, smackheads everywhere in that jail. An old jail, a tough jail to be in. You know what I mean? With that charge. So they said, if you sign, you've got to sign all this paperwork. We've got to make you aware that when you sign this, if you sign this appeal to go down. If your appeal fails, you'll lose all time you've served up to now, and you'll start your sentence again from that day.
Are you joking?
No. So that's part of your so I signed it. So even at that point, it was like I signed away 27 months. which had been a bad 27 month.
Yeah.
So I signed that. You know, I did have. I thought what have I got left? So you know, I thought surely if it gets to a better judge, an higher judge, somebody's going to
pick up on that, pull it apart.
Once you read this, Lee, you'll see straight away. You'll be like, how has this even got out at the police station?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know what the hell's gone on with it all, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's ended up being what it is. So I signed the thing. Then on the long, you know, on the bus from Liverpool to Brixton. Got to Brixton again. All stuff made it even worse. The night before I set off, the IRA like blew up the Docklands.
Oh yeah.
So that was the day before I set off. So when we got to London, it were all a bit spooky. Everybody were like all tense. And then I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But on the Thursday, I got acquitted in the afternoon. But in Thursday morning, the IRA put the bomb in the Charing Cross phone box.
Yep.
No, that was dismantled. So when I did get out in the afternoon, I come out to like a tenner. So going down the IRA, trying to blew up the Docklands, coming out of like the Royal Courts, the IRA, like just where the phone box was, it were only 10 minutes up the road from the court.
Yeah.
So it were all a bit like, just more you know, it were all just surreal, you know, come out after 27 months.
Yeah.
Everything was shut down.
So can I just go into a little bit of the case when it got overturned?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically it's pretty awkward, like, so unless you've got new evidence, what they do is they just go off the old evidence. So even if like all your old evidence from court is good enough and should have been enough to get you and not guilty, they really want to look at some new evidence. So they want any new evidence, they just had to look at the old stuff. So they just
read through that.
They just read through it, and basically what they do is they don't want to like slag off. I found out later by researching when I rope stitched that this Hutchinson judge that sent me down had been to the same colleges and same universities as the judges that let me free. I had Lord Staughton, who were highest judge in country. There were Sir William Macpherson, who did, remember that Stephen Lawrence that got murdered? Yeah. So he wrote this Lawrence report, which is one of the most important documents in law. So that were another one of judges on my thing that let me go. And then another one called, I forget his name, but he was just he's a big judge, you know, like, but compared to them, they were like, come out with the big red robes on and the big wigs, it were all serious. I were only 21, you know, it were all heavy stuff, you know.
So what did you do with your time once you got out? So how did
went straight to live with my dad for a bit. Just lost, got married, went to live in Norway, married a Norwegian, that all like went wonky, come back, floated about, travelled about, and just basically got myself...
How did, so obviously that sort of case has probably sort of hung over your head, like how did that affect your relationships with like
terrible, like I was saying to you earlier, it's sort of, if you sort of start a new relationship, it's like, do you tell them you've been in prison for rape, or do you think, well, I don't really want to explain it, keep it to myself, but then what if somebody tells them,
it makes it look like
later down the line, why have you not explained that to me? So every relationship, it's like I've got to go through it, or they need to know about it, or
constantly having to drag it up and keep going over it.
It just felt like a flashing sign above my head, you know, like everywhere I went in the early days. Like now I don't give a shit, but when I first come out, I just felt like there were like a neon sign above my head, like going rapist or you know, just come out of prison. It was hard, mate.
So what sort of path did you go down once you was out of prison?
Not a good one. Like just I thought my co-accused ended up on heroin. Really bad, so I thought, because I wasn't doing that sort of thing, I thought, I'm like kind of, I was writing this ink run, it was the only sort of anchor that I had. I kept sort of thinking, well, at least I'm doing this. But it took about 10 years, it was like therapy. So I think that book would have been...
And that was the first one?
Yeah, well, I wrote it into the hardback like first, but I think Stitched book is what I think I was trying to write Stitched, but it came out in a fictional way, and I didn't really want, I felt, again, embarrassed to write what the facts, you know what I mean? So I kind of mixed it into a fiction crime. It's all like based in an asylum instead of in prison. It's all... So I was doing that, but started drinking, got into like a pattern. I kind of thought, I'm in the pub, I'm being sociable. I didn't see a pattern emerging of a problem, do you know what I mean? But like with everything what had gone on in my head, ended up in a lot of trouble, just getting nicked all the time. You know, I'm on about 40 times in a year, you know, arrest, you know, like every other week or every week.
Sort of things
just drunk and disorderlies, the police pulling me over, just, you know, gobbing off, criminal damage, just petty stuff that were never really, like my charge sheet, sort of like robberies, nothing, acquitted for rape, and then just like a string of like nonsense to do with drinking, which is not what I want. They wouldn't have been there, you know. I don't.
Was you drinking to sort of mask the pain of what you'd been through a little bit? And
I felt like I was drinking to start with to feel like I was just fitting back into society and I didn't have a problem, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't see the pattern emerging of a problem. Yeah. So it kind of developed.
You don't until it's too late and you look back.
Yeah, because I want like scoring gear on the street, I was thinking, I'm all right, I'm in the pub with my mates and but later once everybody gone, I started going like out on my own, going to bars out of the way, I was definitely like a lonely sort of figure, do you know what I mean, in a dark, but even nutters in my town used to sometimes, I'd go sit with them, they'd be like, I can't sit with you, mate, you've like lost plot. And I'd be thinking, you're a nutcase, mate, what are you on about? I didn't realise that they didn't even, they were like, you're unpredictable, mate, we don't know what you're going to do after you've been on the ale. So it was getting like that. Sorted myself out, like asked the courts loads of times, stop putting me on the tag, stop putting me on probation, stop putting me on like community service. It's doing, I don't mind doing it, I understand I've done wrong, I'll do the punishment, but it's not help, I'm only going to be here again. So I did it myself, went like through therapy, alcohol counselling, did that, got myself sorted, eventually got the book typed up, published, and kind of got myself back on the feet. The whiskey pool come a bit later, but that's all about the drinking sort of thing, but it's a mixture. It's just a short story.
That one is about the drinking habits.
Yeah, it's all about the sort of drinking. It's not based on just me, but it's like more to do with like how you can deal with addiction. I use like Buddhism, spirituality stuff, just things that helped me. Like I were doing stuff what people just like. The group I were around were just laughing at me. If I were like, I'm doing some meditation, like. Lost the plot.
Sometimes you need to have like a goal to focus on. That,
yeah, I needed alternative stuff. I needed to find a path to get back to who I am. Reality, all this is like, you get knocked off your path. I didn't know what path I was on. I was only young, so it's like I didn't exactly know where I was going anyway. But getting knocked off your path with that rape charge, I went off on a big tangent, mate. So it took me
a long time to get back on track.
It took 25 years. Yeah, which is like you just think 25 years. I don't know how better. But then I'm happy now, and I've got the books behind me, and I've got a career behind me, and I think, how things have worked out. But I've had to put a lot of effort, mental effort, and physical effort into getting myself back on track. Like I said, I told you, I ended up with cancer. Whether the drinking, the stress, I feel like your body, if you're telling your body all the time things in your mind, your body listens and picks up, and then it'll kick off like diseases. I believe strongly in that. It'll do things like that to you. So when I'm like constantly thinking people think you're a rapist and the police are like kicking you when you're down, and it didn't help, you know what I mean, and the drink and not looking at, I want eating an healthy diet. Kind of like I said, I snapped out and got back in the gyms and did about 3 years. And then got the cancer in my bowel. Everybody in the gym were like, couldn't believe it.
Did you find, obviously, working out sometimes it releases endorphins, doesn't it?
Yeah, I used to box when I was a kid, so I got back on the bags and I was smashing, it was like smashing the hell out of the bags, and I was smashing the hell out of everything. Yeah, it wasn't a bag. You know what I mean? It was just everything. It were all.
So did you go into any fighting or just training?
We eventually I started because I was too old for the boxing. I love boxing, but I was too old. So a gypsy lad in Leicester, Andy Topliff, he don't get a lot of mention these days, but he was the one that started BBAD, which is the bare knuckle company it's grown. It's like at the O2 arena now. We started it in the back of
the BKB one.
In pubs like this, we used to just go and put hay bales and get a few lads who, it started with like sort of, hardest guys in their town pub, they knocked a few blokes like pub sport, they were like the bee's knees. Then they get a trained fighter come and just knock them out in 10 seconds, realise they're not that tough. It gradually the quality got better, the events got better. Andy Topliff sold it to a fella called Joe Brown, and then he didn't really want all the people that had been involved. He wanted his own team, so he kind of got shoved out a bit. So. But we started it stood for bare knuckle, broken knuckle and dust ups. That's what BBAD stands for. Okay. So we had everybody, all the people, the only people that are still, there's like Barrett and Patterson, the Zulu Baz, he's sort of doing the ref. Sean Smith, he's got his own thing. I think Sean come to like our 3rd or 4th show, and then he went off and did his own thing. So that was the plan. We didn't want to just monopolise it as BBAD. We wanted people to spring up and do their own thing, but once people, not Sean, or Baz or all like that, but this Joe Brown, once other companies got going, then they wanted to rubbish the other stuff.
Yeah.
They were sort of taking it into the rings and into the hotels. So then they were like putting down the shows what we were doing in the A-bales and in the back of pub gardens or like in the fields. But there's two sort of fan bases, and there's a massive fan base for that style.
Yeah.
And then the other one, but yeah, too much bitching and.
I suppose the actual one they do in the ring now, and like with is more sport orientated.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
Rules and
to me though, it's not when you used to come to our early shows, you get splattered in blood.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the action were
it
there.
probably weren't so clean cut as like referee stoppages earlier.
Yeah,
and stuff,
no, we were slipping about all over the shop. It was, it was a bit more rough and ready, but that's what give it the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now when you go to these, they haven't got they've got wraps on. It's not even bare knuckle really, but it's like a white collar boxing show.
Yeah,
and you kind of sat there on you're like, yay. Whereas you were like falling over the bales and you were getting splattered with blood, and it were all a bit like back in the old days.
Like Lenny McLean.
The Lenny McLean stuff.
Yeah.
That's like I said to you. I got Lenny's son Jamie down. He was filming the Governor documentary, so he'd asked like I was worried he were going to go to like Joe Brown show and film that, and I was like thinking that's not like where Lenny had been. Lenny had been around these A-bale sort of gypsy sort of style stuff. So we got him down and he filmed all the stuff in between. It's all run through the documentary. Put my name on the back, on the credits. Got my name on that, which is little things, like just little things you're proud. You think, well, that were a good documentary. I'm glad I've got my name in the back.
Part
of
it to be.
Part of it. And then as a favour, like, because I'd got him the footage like that, he let me go and be in that. My Name Is Lenny, which had a few A-listers in, and Josh Ellman, and we had UFC Michael Bisping, played Roy Shaw. So I was just like the bookie around the ring. But like I said, if you blink, you miss me. But
how did you get on with them people on there? How did you find
it was good, And I respect to like the filming, it was hard work. We were up in Angel of Islington for like 3 or 4 days, long days. We had all the sort of 70s flat cap, 70s sort of clothes on. Cause they use this, I think it was called a Mild May Working. It was like an old working men's club. So we're trying to recreate the sort of the Roy Shaw, Lenny fights. I think it was like the second and third fights we just involved with that. But it was good. And then all the, went to that Genesis theatre, it's just down from the Blind Beggar, the Genesis down there for all the premieres, and it was great.
So did you ever get involved in the actual bare knuckle boxing yourself?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When
so you fighting yourself?
Yeah, we started it. I was the first person to start.
Oh, really?
I was the first knockout. I knocked out a kid called Matt Thorne. He's not the best of fighters, but back in them days, we were like everybody were like online. Yeah, I'll fight. But when we were ringing him up and like, right, so can you be down here to Leicester? Can you be at Colville like next Saturday? We're like, I've hurt my hand, mate. Like, all right, you don't want to fight. So, it was just, people again sort of mock the start and say, they want the best of it. No, we were winging it. We were just trying to get it going, and now like they've got, all the ones that are enjoying the shows at London. If we hadn't put the groundwork in, they wouldn't be enjoying these nights out. So,
how did you find that yourself? Do you have many tough fights, or what was?
Yeah, I'd had a few.
What was your toughest opponent in there?
Well, nothing filmed. This was the other thing.
Not in the old days, it wasn't so much.
No, this is the other thing. I'd had a few. I'd had a few fights, and again, like in prison. If you could film all the stuff that's gone on in there, God, you wouldn't want to document it. What happened.
The thing years ago, no one like nowadays. Everyone carries a phone. They film everything.
Yeah.
Years ago, the cameras were
that's what I mean.
This big on your shoulder.
There's loads of people's fights that they don't have any footage, and people, if it's not filmed, it never happened apparently.
Yeah.
So people just
was in the old days.
Documented down bare knuckle. 1 fight, 1 win. First fight on B-Bad. That's all I've got documented.
Yeah.
But I never fought again. I didn't bother. We were more interested in getting the promotion. I filmed a few. I got Dave Radford. He's had a trilogy fight with James McCauley. Everybody raves on about that. They've had good views. Millions of hits on the YouTube fights. I filmed them, and I introduced Dave into B-Bad. So again, another people sort of. There's a few people from the, that are now involved in it that don't even mention like me or Andy Topliff. But again, without his intervention in the beginning, they won't be enjoying some of the stuff that's going on now. So we're happy what we did. You know what I mean? I don't need to get involved in it anymore. We only wanted.
You started it off, and
we started it off, and we only wanted other companies to spring up, and so that there were. It were kind of back in the day, if you typed in bare knuckle, you'd just get them grainy, gypsy couple of clips and think, and they're breaking them up all the time, breaking them up. There's some great traveller gypsy fighters, but I don't like the style of like how they break them all the time, so we just let them
carry on.
I refed one in Leicester, and I was just like, just fight, mate, just just get on with it. I kind of picked him up once, and dusted him down, but I just let him crack on, and it looks better, and you know, the fight flows, and
more of a ball. So can I go into a bit more of your author side of it now?
Yeah.
You write. Yeah. So how have you sort of become an established writer?
So I got on with a company, Warcry Press. I don't have anything to do with them either now, but they, can you remember the Paul Sykes stuff?
Yeah.
So they'd like Paul Sykes' book Sweet Agony. This guy Rob Brendon, he took over from, it were called Lofthouse Publishing. So he kind of got in with them and turned it to Warcry Press. So I'd been talking to some bigger publishers, but I'd been speaking to Rob, and I was telling him all about my background. He was like, look, I can get this published for you, mate, easy, do you know what I mean? So I kind of panicked. I should have maybe held fast a little bit and gone for a bigger publisher at the time, but because of how life had been, it was like, oh, this guy's like giving me a chance to publish my book, so I went there. Maybe it was a mistake, I don't know, but I don't feel it is now, but a few years back I thought maybe I should have gone with a bigger publisher. Yeah. So I kind of started there. Then I ended up doing the Whiskey Pool. Went back to the poetry book. I'd done a poetry book when I was at college, and had that published just for a competition, this T.S. Eliot Prize. So I kind of put that out, and then I was always trying to write this Stitch book, and I kept doing it, and I get halfway through it, and then it messed my head up, and I think it's not worth. You know, I'd got myself in my own life on a balanced, more, stability. So I didn't want to risk it, but then it kept annoying me, thinking I ain't got over this, because every time I try to explain this, it's messing my head up. So until I can get this out, I haven't really put it behind me.
It must have been quite an achievement to finish that.
That's what I'm saying. That will
that weight off your shoulders.
Typing the end on books is great, but typing the end on that, it was
nice ending to it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And it has felt like I have now. This is why I can talk about it, because before that, I'd have probably choked up by now.
Yeah,
if you mention, because it's just the emotions of it, or bringing everything back. Where I definitely have put it in the past. So, like I said, it's only took 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so is this something obviously it's an achievement of what you've done already? It's great.
I'm doing really well with it.
You're going to continue down this path?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely carrying on with the books. I've got I'm in with a new publisher now in the Philippines. Stuff I've got now, the quotes. I've got Sean A. Cosby on the front of me debut. He's just won LA Book of the Year. Mm-hmm. He's top 10 New York Times bestseller. He's just won the CWA Gold Dagger, which is the best award you can get in England. So people like that, I've got Paul Finch on. If you look on the back of that, I've got I don't know, did he say point up there? I've got Paul Finch on the back of there. Yeah. Paul Finch is an ex-Salford Bobby. So again, with my background, he will kind of put his arm around me a bit, give me a bit of clout. He sold over 1 million copies, Sunday Times bestseller. So he put his writing has an air of authenticity that other crime writers can only dream of. Yeah. Stuff like that. I've got Noel Razor Smith, who again I like using people that have been in trouble. So Noel had 8 life sentences, armed robber, one of the biggest armed robbers in London, sorted himself out, come out, put himself through intense therapy, works for Guardian, he's edited at Inside Time, the prison newspaper, does all that, he's published with Penguin and all sorts of good stuff. He put Brendon Hyde as an authentic voice from the street, a man who has lived the life and writes like he means it. The Ink Run is an extraordinary debut and not to be missed. So I had there's some good, I've got
people backing you.
Yeah, I've got a good mixture of things. On the Stitched, I got Stephen French, the Devil.
Yeah, from Liverpool.
Yeah, Stephen French, massive, a friend. You know what I mean? Yeah. Who's always supported me with stuff. As soon as I told him I was gonna do this, he was I was can you do me a little quote? And he was is it about that? I was yeah. He was I'll do you better than that. I'll write the foreword for you. So he wrote the foreword and kind of put himself up, give me a bit of backing and.
It's nice for people to come forward and help you, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when they're he's genuine. He's been a bad man, hasn't he? You know what I mean? So nobody's going to question. It's people like that up front. I ain't got some little wallies on the front going.
Can I touch on something you showed me earlier? You was actually in contact with Charlie Bronson.
Yeah. So I brought this just to show you.
Let's have a look.
So when I'd first got the Ink Run out, I'd put it out in hardback first. We did a limited edition hardback. So we did that first. So I sent a copy to Charlie. I used to do quite a bit of stuff helping him, just with his support. Yeah. So I sent him it. I put Charlie all the best, enjoy the book, Dale. And then he read it, and then he sent me it back.
Sent it back with his own message.
So he signed it. He's put took me a week to read it. Passed a nice week. Charles Salvador, 2017, Wakefield Cage.
So what, it just showed?
Yeah.
From Charlie Bronson himself.
So we had that from Charlie. Like I said, I hope it gets out. I don't have much to do with Charlie anymore. Do you know what I mean? He asked me to write a book. I've got some stuff on my laptop. I've got about 20,000 words of a book he asked me to write, but it got where he thought it was going to interfere with his parole chances. So we shelved it. And I'd spent about 4 months working on that, but it was like, fair enough.
It might be time to be able to do it at a later date, mightn't it? If
maybe, yeah. It's all a bit of a it's all sort of written in free. So you've got like Peterson, who he was, then you've got Bronson, then you've got Salvador. So it's all like, oi, Salvador, fucking wind it in. And then it's like, Peterson's like, come on, Charlie, now, get up, mate. And then it's like, Salvador's like, oh, do you two man, I'm trying to get on with my artwork. And then you've got Peterson going, so it's like all a bit mad.
Yeah.
Like that, which I think after he'd kind of got a little bit into it, I thought, this does sound a bit, it doesn't sound good parole-wise, so it just got shelved, so...
Yeah, but maybe, like you say, maybe...
Good luck to the guy. I hope he does get out and just prove everybody wrong, but I in my own personal opinion, I don't think he'll get out. Yeah. No.
It's got a big name. It's called, it's in the public eye all the time.
I think if he does get out, he's going to have a lot of problems with people just interfering with it. I don't think he'll be able to get... I think in his mind he thinks he's going to get out and go to this cottage in the countryside and live this quiet life painting. I don't think that's how it's going to happen if he does get out.
I think even so, he's such a big name now that everyone knows it. Even like if he goes in a restaurant and have a meal, there's people going to say, oh, can I have my photo with you?
I mean, for all these type of shows, I mean, he'd straight away, he'd be invited onto everything.
Yeah, that's right.
If you could get him on stuff, it'd be good. Hopefully it could happen, and he'd be able to keep his head together enough and use everything that he'd be offered and make a life for himself, but I don't know. Nah, personally, I don't see it happening, but I hope so, good luck to him.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So just start to wind it up now, Dal. Yeah. Can we just get your where people can find your books?
So everything's on Amazon at the minute. My publisher's called JMGA, but they're in the Philippines at the minute, so it's easier to get the books on Amazon. I used to have everything in Waterstones, but they've come out of there because I've switched to a publisher that's not in the UK, so I'm stuck with that at the minute. So just Amazon, just type my name, Dale Brendon Hyde, or put in Stitched, Ink Run, Gods Are Watching, Whiskey Pool.
Is there any social media platforms people can find you on as well?
Yeah, you can just get onto my Facebook, and I've got separate pages on Facebook for all the books, so if you just type any of them in, you can see straight away I'm there. Or just give me a friend request, and if I think you're all right, I might I might accept. Or if I think you're some sort of troll, I'll just delete you and block you. But I mean, I'm like you said, I'm writing a book at the minute, which is really interesting. So I kind of had a few offers of like things to do, and then they've sort of fell by the wayside. And I was halfway through another crime fiction book, which is my own personal thing. It's called The Death Row Thrift Shop. It's like all serial killer stuff in America. But then I had an offer off a guy called Chris Burton. So his dad's called Paul Blanchard. He's tied up with all the underworld in like sort of Tenerife, the John Palmer stuff, the Goldfinger, Hamid Derber. It's all more to do with like fraud and the timeshare stuff and the funneling the money and all sorts of stuff like that. His dad's working for like the Secret Service. He's working for MI5 Spain. Big trials going on. He's trying to be extradited back to Spain. £4.3 million frauds, moving money from the Spanish bank to London banks, and all sorts of stuff going on. So the story's more Chris Burton and his dad's relationship. That's the trunk of the story, but then it shoots out into all this stuff to do with like I said, Tenerife, and not just Tenerife, but. So I'm doing that. It's called Easy Target. So trying to get that done.
Another one coming soon.
Trying to get that done for Christmas. Yeah.
Cool. All right, lovely. Thanks, Dal.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
God
bless. It's been a pleasure.